In this video, I want to discuss some interesting observations about eczema. So these are some of my own interpretations based on my experience and the experience of other people that I worked with and that I heard about that had eczema. These ponderings are meant to help you kind of localize eczema as this holistic symptomology that has a lot of ways to heal and be nurtured. Different approaches work because it is a physical, mental, and emotional, a holistic disease. So by approaching it in those ways, we can learn a lot about it, and we can learn a lot about how these ways could help us, but also how the opposite of those ways could trigger flare-ups. So I wanted to kind of just talk about my story, talk about different people that I met, different people that I worked with, and what is truly helpful to understand. And if you find this video useful and you feel called to work with me, all my protocols tackle eczema holistically, and I work with clients mentally, physically, and emotionally to get to the bottom of eczema in their lives, what triggers their eczema, their history, and to come up with a personal solution that is going to be sustainable and long-term. And I do this in 90 days. We work together and hopefully get that eczema completely gone within that time. Now let's talk about eczema from a perspective that's not usually talked about. So if you watch a lot of these eczema videos on YouTube and you look for information about eczema, it's all very scientific, it's all very food-based, it's all very treatment-based. So try this treatment, remove this food, don't do the chemical because the chemical is at fault. Don't maybe incorporate this, go all carnivore. It's these extremes and this kind of guesswork that doesn't account for understanding the body as it is. And our bodies obviously are a reflection of natural law. So we work with the principles of nature. That means cause and effect. Whatever chemistry we interact with, we will feel. The principles of chemistry and physics apply. So we have to be very understanding of how our bodies work in the scheme of things. So they are not robotic, they don't work in isolation. So that means that, you know, our thoughts do matter, our emotions do matter, and of course the physical chemistry matters as well, and the physical chemistry can help us elevate the mental and emotional bodies. So through food, we can actually improve our mental health and our emotions, and vice versa. And this vessel is profoundly influenced by the principles of chemistry and physics. So if you don't understand how the body interacts with its environment and how principles of chemistry, the chemistry from the mind, emotions, and from our environments, from our diets, all interact to create physical health or disease, then we're lost. We're going to be in this game of treatments. We're going to be constantly trying new things without the real solution. So the solution is to always rendezvous with the most healing chemistry out there. So what is the most healing chemistry? The best kind of most elevated thoughts, the most joyous and kind of expansive emotions, and of course the highest nutritive healing foods. And those are raw foods, raw fruits and vegetables. Those have the highest healing capacity out of any foods in nature because they're alive. They have specific chemistry to them. They have the vitamins, the minerals, the fats, the essential amino acids, the enzymes, everything we need in those ratios that nature intended for our health. So if we embrace that highest chemistry or alkaline chemistry of nature, we're going to find that we are balanced, that we are healthy. But if you rendezvous with the acidic side of life, if we keep revisiting those low vibrational thoughts and emotions, anxiety, fear, survival, fight or flight, all of those are incredibly acidic to the body. So the body processes all of them as stress, as something that's incredibly acute, meaning it wants to experience it short term so it can survive, but it is not advantageous to the body long term. So it is extremely damaging to all the processes, extremely taxing. So what does the body want? The body wants to feel in harmony. It wants to know that it can digest, and it can be in that expansive state, so it doesn't have to fear for its life. And that's when healing happens. That's when we become that's when we can expand and grow. We can't do that in survival. We are at the driver's seat, so we can control this, but we have to learn how. We have to learn the habits, and we have to practice them enough so they become second nature. And then, of course, the diet. The diet is also all chemistry. The food we internalize matters. It is the fuel for ourselves. So if the fuel is not optimal, it is going to also, with these emotions, with these low thoughts, going to bring and burden our bodies down. So all three can work at a scale. So in terms of emotions, every day you can think about whether your emotions are producing more alkaline chemistry than acidic chemistry. Same thing for your thoughts. Am I thinking of good things that I really want in my life? Am I using my mind to manifest instead of looking at the past and the sorrows of the past, the wounds? Am I revisiting that? Am I telling the body I'm still in that place? Or also the diet. Am I choosing the most hydrating, healing foods, or am I stuck in this game of eliminating certain allergens and trying this and trying that and seeing the eczema go up and down? Once we understand that how often we interact with healing chemistry versus acidic chemistry matters, that's when we can see real progress. So the more that you live on the alkaline side of life, meaning predominantly every day your thoughts, your emotions, and your diet are alkaline, you will heal eczema for good. So get yourself a checklist. Every day, keep track of your thoughts, keep track of your emotions, keep track of your diet, and see in a week how just changing your perspective, just changing how you approach your daily life, and holding yourself accountable. Once you have that habit of thinking in a certain way or having those emotions, catching yourself, it's really all practice. And so every day, if we're diligent about our thoughts, emotions, and our diet, we can get to that place of understanding how all three influence us. And by keeping track of the checklist, you will see a correlation between how your week went in terms of low vibrational or high vibrational thoughts, emotions, diet, and how your eczema looks. If you hold yourself accountable to changing and transforming the way you show up in the world and what chemistry you deal with daily, then you're going to see big results. So this knowledge is the foundation of what I'm going to talk about next, because these stories that I'm going to kind of showcase and that I'm going to present to you exactly point to why emotions and thoughts are important and how they can elevate our bodies or bring them down. My own eczema story is a story of emotions, of how stuck emotions, of how being stuck in certain paradigms of thinking and emotional baggage can prevent the body from being in the flow. So when we're stuck on a thought, stuck in a certain emotional pattern, we're basically preventing that prana or that flow of energy to become a reality in the body, which is the flow of life. We have to be in the flow of life to experience health. So being stuck basically prevents the natural law of flow and evolution to become materialized within you. So the prana of life, everything has to flow really well, not only on the outside, which is basically you're evolving, you're participating with life, but internally as well. So being in flow is not only this philosophy, this Vedic philosophy of prana being, inside our bodies flowing, and that's a sign of good health. It's not that. That philosophy is based on reality. But look at the anatomy of the human. You have to have your lymphatic system drain well. That means it has to flow and circulate without obstructions. The blood has to take all those vitamins and minerals and that nutrition to the cells of the body. It has to flow in order for us to stay alive. And then you have the nervous system. There should not be any obstructions to the nervous system so it can operate well. And guess what? Diet, emotions, and thoughts can obstruct the flow of energy, the flow of lymph, the flow of blood, and the flow of the nervous system. We can literally get stuck inside because of feeling stuck because of our external circumstances. So I understood that my eczema was rooted in this emotional imbalance, being in a state of emotions that didn't serve me for a long period of time. And if I just changed that, and I basically brought myself out of the past and out of the future and into the present moment, and I meditated on everything that I did daily, I brought joy into every single action. All of those emotions and thoughts started becoming more positive, because in the present moment I didn't have the wounds and the hurts of the past, and I didn't have the worries of the future. So if you are the type of person that really stresses easily, that worries, that looks back often and ruminates about the past, and that's where the mind usually goes, to the past and the future, all you have to do is bring the mind back. You're in the driver's seat, so you have control over your mind. Your mind is not in control over you. And once you master that and you become appreciative of what you have, and you take delight in the smallest things in life, everything will change. Your body will experience profound healing. I didn't see a lot of results with my healthy vegetarian diet. I think because it wasn't as healthy as it could be, and from what I know now, and my emotions weren't exactly to the point of being very high vibrational. I was getting there. The eczema was, here and there. It was reversing a little bit. It was coming back. But once I harmonized my emotions and I understood what diet really makes a difference, what makes me feel really good, and where do I see the biggest results, then it made a lot of sense. If I combine my state of presence, my state of peace, with the highest vibrational foods on the planet, the raw foods, the alkaline foods, then this is going to bring so much energy, so much vitality, and so much of that high vibration that the body needs to ignite all the self-healing processes. The healing really occurred. It took some time, but if you're in that state, in that alkaline state of life for a longer period of time, the body now has all that energy it doesn't use for digestion, it doesn't use to process acidic thoughts and emotions, to direct back into healing. And that is key. Think about all of those years that you practice those emotional, mental, and dietary habits that didn't serve you. And the body had to come to a place where it had to say no. The eczema is the body's way of saying something's off. So eczema is only the message that the body is giving us to tell us it's not in harmony. So what we have to do is ask, how do I get my body back in harmony? What did I not do, and what are the patterns that I have had that don't serve me? What can I change? And once you do that and you commit to a path of, let's say, 3 months, which is what I practiced and what I think benefits most people, then if you put all of that knowledge and that dedication and commitment for 3 months and longer if you can, depending on your case, depending on your severity, then you will see real results. Another story that I wanted to bring up is of somebody that I heard of that suffered from eczema for a long, long time. And then he found a partner. He fell in love. And just that feeling of being in love completely reversed his eczema. When we're in a state of high vibration and we feel those loving thoughts, and we feel loved and we want to love, and we feel happy, and we're skipping around and we're laughing, and all of that is basically healing to the body. This ignites the flow of good energy, of prana, and whereas those emotions that we're taxing on the kidneys and the lymphatic system and so forth, can that state of being in love override a bad diet? I believe it somewhat can, because those high emotions are so high vibrational that they can certainly offset some of that acidity caused by the diet. And of course, emotions are more profoundly powerful than the lower chemistry, the 3D chemistry. So what we create with our mind and emotions, it is more powerful than what we internalize through chemistry. However, if our bodies are on the weaker side, we have eczema for a long time, we have certain genetic weaknesses. So if, we are high on our emotions and even our thoughts are positive, but we're really bad with our diets, think about all of that as accumulated chemistry. So you have 60% great here, 40% not so good. So the body could be still on that imbalance. It could be still struggling to heal because it doesn't have the more of that goodness. It doesn't have enough of the alkaline chemistry. So that's what's important to bear in mind. Healing is a highly energetic process. So if our bodies don't have enough of that energy, they don't have enough rest, they don't have enough of the alkaline chemistry that comes from food, and if the emotions aren't vibrationally high, all of that will impact how healing occurs, how long it takes, and whether it can be sustained over a long period of time. You have to have a lot of energy to heal the body. So if you're giving the body 60% of what it could get, it's going to take a longer period of time for it to really get to the place for you to see those sustainable results. So giving the body as much of that goodness as it needs, that fuel, that chemistry, those vibrations, at the same period of time, meaning aligning emotionally, mentally, and physically, dietarily, with the highest possible vibrations, energy, and chemistry in nature, will help to expedite the process. Another story is about a client. So she had eczema, especially on her face. She had it for a long time, since she was a teenager, and she wanted to work with me to see how she could reverse it for good. So she did do steroids for some time, and once I dug into kind of her history, especially her emotional history, she revealed that she had a really hard time getting pregnant. I believe that the grief and that anxiety and depression around this inability to get pregnant really got her in a state of emotions that really impacted her health, and that stagnated her lymph system, which I believe a lot of the times that's what emotions do, and especially those negative, profoundly low vibrational, long-standing emotions, that caused her to get those big flare-ups. Once you start becoming aligning with the flow of life, I have to look to the future. I decide to be happy. I'm going to create a life of significance, no matter what, if I'm a mom or not. I am going to do this for myself because I love myself, I care about myself. Once she came to that place of letting go, that's when it happened. You have to go from a state of resignation and stagnancy to a state of no matter my circumstances, I decide to flow with life. So that's the biggest breakthrough that I've seen with eczema. And after this point, we talked, more about committing to the alkaline state of life. So getting her diet fixed so she could see even better results. And we talked about using the mind. She also had some nervous system dysregulation. Once we are okay, authentically okay with who we are, how we react, what peace our external environment needs to have so we can also become peaceful inside. Once we know that and we can then regulate those external stimulants, then we are fully embracing our natures and we're fully in control over our circumstances. So we're not giving out our power, we're bringing that power back. So if you found this information helpful and you'd like to work with me, you can find out more about my coaching program right in the description below. You can also find my free community where I have all the tools you need to reverse eczema in 90 days. Primarily my free course, which will showcase all of this knowledge that I talked about in more detail. So if you're compelled to support me in any way, this is how you can do that. So thanks for watching. I completely understand what you're going through in this journey. It is a difficult journey, difficult process, oftentimes very frustrating. So I'm very happy to support you through these videos or through one-on-one coaching. Either way, I'm glad you made it, and I will see you next time.